Before we begin this video, I would like to request you to please buy me a coffee if you can, or if you like the contents that you see in Gaming Roki, as your contribution helps this channel to grow. The link is below the description. I like the Final Fantasy series as I've played a few of them a long time ago. I remember beating Final Fantasy IV on the SNES, and that was the first Final Fantasy game that I've played. While I found it great, it didn't drive me enough to get into it until I started playing Final Fantasy VII, which is the game that made me get into the Final Fantasy series big time. It ended up becoming one of my favorite games of all time. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the first game as it was released on platforms that I never owned. Eventually, I got the PS Vita, and I was at one point considering getting the PS1 version of Final Fantasy until Square Enix just revealed the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series. I pre-ordered all of the 6 versions instantly, and I have started right off with the first one, as I wanted to know how the series started. At first, I was skeptical because Square Enix is known for not releasing ports properly on PC, as the Chrono Trigger Steam release has proven. But being that Final Fantasy is one of Square Enix's iconic brands, I figured that it could not be anywhere as abysmal as Chrono Trigger port levels. But did I make the right decision of buying this latest port? Please note that for this review, the font mod has been used for the footage, but the original font issue will be shown nevertheless. The story takes place hundreds of years ago, where the world is filled with darkness as the winds die and the earth decays. A prophecy tells that 4 warriors of light will come and bring in peace. And that day finally comes, as the 4 warriors that you control come with crystals just outside of the kingdom of Corneria. Your team is tasked with rescuing Princess Sarah. After you defeat Garland and save the princess, the king fixes the bridge to the north, and you venture forth to your real quest, where you must defeat the 4 elementals who tarnish the world. The story is the same as the original version, and it is straightforward, being predictable most of the time, except maybe for the near end of the game. The majority of the characters rarely have any expressions, although there are cutscenes that do play at times. It's worth noting, however, that the world building is rather impressive, even going back in its time, as it has a mix of medieval and science fiction added. If you happen to be like me, who was skeptical about how Square Enix could pull this off as a pixel remaster, knowing their history of porting classics that are quite unpolished, then rest assured that the overall look and feel is gorgeous and right up the remaster mark. A lot of the sprites have been redrawn and recolored. Even the backgrounds that are in the battles look amazing. The environments are well detailed, having water reflections, effects like mist inside caves, and even pulling off the notable SNES Mode 7 right. You can even switch over to another character anytime. You can also view the concept art from the gallery, and most of it is rather impressive. The only real downsides are the jarring font and the stuttering, which thankfully can be fixed easily even without the patch. And the scanline mode makes the game look more blurry and distracting. The music is remixed by the original Final Fantasy composer himself, Nobuo Uematsu, and the redone music is overall excellent, as it not only retains the original feel of the music, but makes it more modern. There is not a single song here that feels incomplete or rushed, and it is without a doubt the best part of the entire game. The gameplay plays exactly like the original game, where you select 4 units of your choice, with each having its attributes. You cannot revert, however, as you're stuck with your chosen team for the entire game. You then start your quest exploring worlds, dungeons, killing monsters on the way, and getting the basic stuff like weapons, armor, and items. You spend most of the time talking to NPCs figuring out what you're supposed to do to make progress, like a typical RPG. Luckily, the solutions are not very cryptic and can easily be solved mostly. During combat, you have to select a target to attack with either through melee or magic. When you defeat monsters, you get experience and gold. Getting enough EXP gives you a level up, which boosts your stats. Unlike the later games in the series, magic doesn't work the same way. Instead of learning it, you need to buy it from shops. You can only learn up to 3 magic in each level, so you need to choose wisely which magic is useful. The other thing to note is that magic points are limited, and if you use them all in one level, you cannot use the others within the same level. Fortunately, the remaster adds in ethers that restore magic easily even during battle. In the original game, if the unit dies, the only way to get that unit back is to go to the church. But in the remaster, Phoenix Downs are available, and as you make progress, you get the opportunity to get plenty of them, making churches obsolete. The dungeons are quite long, having lots of floors and areas to explore. Luckily, the remaster allows you to view the map of the dungeons, so you don't waste too much time exploring areas that are often empty, like in the original. Speaking of the remaster, this port has the auto-battle feature where you can speed up the battling process, and this is handy because you will always encounter monsters every time you walk a certain amount of steps. You can also save anywhere in the game, unlike the original. While you can't save directly inside dungeons, you can use the quick save option instead. The best part of this port is that all the bugs that are in the original, where many spells do not work, are now fixed in this remaster completely. All of these quality of life features that are present in this port make the game more accessible to newcomers and alike pretty easily. But it comes at the price of 3 flaws. The first one, and the main problem, is the difficulty. In this version, after defeating enemies a certain number of times, you get a lot stronger than how it is supposed to be because leveling up is fast. This means that the enemies get defeated easily as you deal a lot more damage than the enemies do, making magic almost useless unless when facing bosses, which are the most challenging. The second issue is the rewards feeling lackluster, as the majority of the chests you open give you potions and money, while the shops offer items that cannot be found otherwise. Money is a lot more abundant, and what's worse is that items and shops are now cheaper, so the idea of rewarding large sums of money is quite odd. The last issue is the lack of replay value. Outside of doing 2 quests, there is not a lot to do in the game other than playing Puzzle 15. I suppose getting all the chests in the game adds some kind of replay value, as well as completing the Beastery, which requires you to defeat enemies, or just play the game over again with a different team in mind. Perhaps adding the content that is from the Game Boy Advance and PlayStation Portable versions could have made the game more lengthy, but for what it is, it remains a very short RPG lasting not more than 10 hours. Now with that out of the way, would I recommend this game? Maybe. As someone who's played the first game from this version for the first time, I could easily recommend it, as it is the best way to experience the original. The graphics and music are amazing, and the game is simple enough to play without taking a lot of time, thanks to the quality of life features being added. However, if you had just played the GBA and PSP ports of the game, or if you want an RPG that has a lot to do, then this one may not be for you, as there is not much content offered outside of the base game. Well, that's it for this review, folks. If you like what you've seen, then why not hit the subscribe and bell icons and stay tuned. And in the meanwhile, thank you for watching Gaming Roki.